2024 workshop. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, although the agenda indicates a presentation tonight, that has been postponed until March. So we will move on to the 20 years of service resolution that's going to be presented to Scott Severinsen of the Police Department. Is there anyone who would like to take that?
Take it.
Okay, Lynn. Next will be the swearing in of Marco Torres, and that will be something that I do. Thank you. Next, we will have the reading of the liquid fuels resolution, and I believe that's done by a council member, correct? Would anyone like to read the liquid fuels resolution? No?
I'll do it.
Okay, Aaron. Thank you.
And just for the benefit of Aaron and Kristen, I'll tell you that is just an annual resolution that basically says we will spend the tax money that we get from gasoline tax money that the township receives appropriately. So you can spend it on certain things and not on other things. So this tells you what you can spend it on. And we do this every January.
Every January. And next is the police pension resolution. Again, another thing we do annually that just acknowledges that we will expend those funds the way they must be expended. Anyone in particular want to take the police pension resolution?
I'll do it.
Okay, Kristen, thank you. Gotta get used to your guys' initials. All right, and then we have 8 stipulations to settle.
Mike will take all of those.
Mike will take, so that will all go to our solicitor. All right. Do we have anything tonight from police, public safety, chief?
Nothing, thank you.
Thanks. All right. Anyone want to read the snow announcement?
I can do that one.
Thank you, Nick. If we do get that snow, you'll be responsible. You realize that.
Well, our meeting will be after the snow arrives, so.
That's true. After the snow doesn't arrive.
And if the snow doesn't arrive, I'll take it.
There you go. So I guess next would be the Sandy Hill Road land development. Is that, which ward is that?
Nick.
Yeah.
Nick, okay. And then we have Outback Steakhouse. Aaron,
Yep.
it's your ward. Royal Farms, that's you also, Nick. We'll do that one. Are there any escrow releases? I didn't see any in there. No. All right. And do we have anything tonight from engineering other than that?
Nope, just to remind you, you have a meeting tomorrow with Tim.
I know, we're meeting in front of the Mansion House, right?
Correct.
The old Mansion House? Okay. I'll be there. Code enforcement, anything tonight?
We're just going to stay for the executive session, but nothing.
Okay.
for this.
Nothing for the workshop. All right. Zoning, nothing.
There are no new cases for zoning this month, kind of unusual.
Oh.
And the pre-hearing, continued hearing for the apartments at the mall is continued until February. Their regular meeting, third week of Feb. There's nothing for January.
Parks and Recreation, you have anything for the workshop tonight, Phil?
No, just our announcements.
Okay. Anyone like to read the Parks and Recreation upcoming programs?
Sure.
All right, Lynn. Okay, next item on our agenda is under planning and development, the stormwater plans for residential permits. What's that, Karen?
That's the ordinance we've been working on.
Okay, so is that?
I will have a draft in the next 2 weeks, I think. Derek and I were going back and forth. It's pretty comprehensive. It's pretty lengthy as we were going back in and making cites to other sections of the code. Before I send that to council, I'll send it over to Karen and Lonnie and Tim to review and get their opinion, and Jim as well, to see if there's any comments. But that will come to everyone in the next 2 weeks.
And that's to limit, to require a stormwater plan when, especially what's happening when people are tearing down a house, especially in the valley, building a new home, a lot larger, their water could be running off to their neighbors, and this is going to require people to have a plan for a residential permit.
So for the new members of council, previously, if you were doing a residential knockdown rebuild or an addition of a certain size, less than 5,000 square feet, Jim, I'm looking at 5,000 square feet, you did not need to have any stormwater management and controls in place. So you could just go ahead and build your new dwelling or the addition, and it could potentially impact your neighbors. So we are looking at amending the ordinance and having a lesser square footage number that could be built before it would trigger some sort of engineering review.
When they regrade their property and redo their driveways, it can run into other people's basements or driveways, and they end up with problems.
Maybe put a rain garden or a
Yeah.
underground basin or a
Seepage pad or pit or.
drains.
Just to protect their neighbors. Okay.
So that'll actually come off the agenda. These
Yeah.
were 3 things that had been started last year that I just wanted to, put back on here to begin the new year with where we stand and what we're doing about them.
Yeah, and bring our new members up to date. So the other thing that was started last year at the initiative of our Environmental Advisory Board was a plastic bag ordinance. And what that would do, at least what they were considering and what we were considering, is what you call the point of sale plastic bags. You put your groceries in and take them out of the store, not when you're deep in the produce department or meat department and you're sticking things in those little bags. It's not going to stop people from buying baggies in those aisles, but it's really those point of sale thin ones that you get.
You see a lot of our neighboring municipalities have started to enact them,
Yeah.
especially at supermarkets, where you're seeing plastic bags no longer being used, and they're using paper bags or bring your own bags. The Whole Foods, if you're doing any pickup there, they're paper. Obviously, IKEA is bring your own bags. And then there was discussions. Sorry to jump in.
No, go
about,
ahead, Alex, please.
Other municipalities were doing things about plastic straws. Some were doing with styrofoam. So I think council was discussing how we want to move forward. Do they want to move forward? And then the direction of how expensive the ordinance would be. We're ready and able to draft. We believe it's legal. Looking for direction from council if council is inclined to have us move forward in preparing a draft, and with what criteria council would like in that draft.
And some of the things that are in all of these ordinances that all of our surrounding municipalities have been doing, the retailer can offer paper bags, but because they really want, paper bags also have a carbon footprint and they don't really decompose that quickly. So you would charge for paper bags. Some places charge a nickel, 10 cents, 15 cents. Just a little something to encourage people to bring reusable bags. There are some places that already do paper, like Venezia Meats already does paper, Whole Foods does paper.
In the ordinance, one of the things that we've seen in the model ordinance and other municipalities' ordinances are, even if the ordinance will be effective, in terms of when the ordinance is effective, it won't be enforceable for 3 months to 6 months later to continue to have discussions and make people aware of the changes that are going to be enforced in the future by the township.
gives the businesses time to sort of use up the plastic bags they've already. You have a question, Kristen?
So, well, I have a couple questions. Alex mentioned what the cost of this would be. Where would there be a cost for the township?
So it costs us the
Businesses.
businesses, they could charge a
Oh,
cost
okay. I
the
see.
rather
paper.
than do it for the paper. So most
Got
of
it.
them are, it's 10, 15 cents per paper bag that's being used in lieu of the plastic bag.
Mhm.
And I think the EAC, when they presented to council, stated that, based on their research, that in talking to business owners, that 10 cents, 15 cents was more than sufficient to cover the cost of the paper bag, that compared to the cost of them acquiring the plastic bags.
Oh, okay.
And that 15 or 10 cents goes to the retailer. So we're not involved in collecting that or using it. The retailer, the grocery store keeps that 10 cents a bag.
Okay.
And it defrays the cost of paper costing more than plastic for them.
That makes sense.
There's no cost to the township. The only thing some townships have done is they've done like giveaways of the reusable bags if they choose to kind of get people started with a reusable bag, but we're under no obligation to do that. And I think some have done it and some haven't, so, that's
Right.
for us to decide.
Go ahead.
So
I'm
just so
sorry.
I'm on the same
Yeah.
page, the requirement to charge for a paper bag, because I believe the suggestion was that you require these stores to
Yes.
charge, right? And the idea there is that you're getting people to bring in their reusable bags, correct?
Correct.
Because
Was there
otherwise there's no
anything-
ding, right?
Was there any suggestion of adding into the ordinance that they put signs up in the parking lot reminding people? Because I know that personally I forget before I go in. It'd be, I don't know.
And then it's how much is it worth it to you to run back to the car
Yeah,
and get it, especially
right.
when you've taken the baby out of the car seat already,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Yeah.
So
There's
I've seen
also-
that certain stores, not in Plymouth, but in certain local stores where they have signs at the beginning of the store where the double doors open, where it says, please remember to bring your bags in. But I don't think anyone has ever explored mandating signs in parking lots.
Yeah.
And if we were interested in that, I'd have to see how that would impact if we're doing mandatory signs and how that would impact under the zoning code and other signs that we would require for access, but something we could look at.
Because they could go on the, the
Us
things
too.
that you put your carts in. Sometimes they have actual covers on those. You put a sign on that.
Well,
We
I-
could probably
if you-
suggest it, even if we
Yeah,
didn't
right.
require it.
Yeah, I know the Giant grocery store in White Marsh there at the corner of Ridge and Butler. They had the big signs, effective this date,
Oh, right.
no more plastic bags, you will have to pay for it. They had some kind of sign that alerted people, so the retailers were doing that. One of the things that we thought might be good, just because we've had good experience in the past with transparency and allowing the public to comment, is to maybe hold a town hall or even 2 town halls, one during the day for those who don't like getting out at night or can't get out at night, and one in the evening, so that people can come as they did for the mall redevelopment and express their views. And years ago, we did it when we were considering whether to sell our sewer system or take out a bond to pay for the renovation of the township building. So we thought that might be a good way for people to be able to sort of air their views and let us know what they're thinking, and it doesn't come as a great surprise when they start seeing the signs popping up at Wegmans.
We could
Not
time the town
Wegmans,
hall.
Weiss,
so
I'm sorry,
that,
Weiss Market. That's the wrong W.
We could time it so that it's not like we've passed the ordinance and now we're going to have a town hall to tell you it's coming.
Right.
We could time it so that people can feel like they're weighing into the conversation. And if there's something we haven't considered, we'll have a chance to consider it. I mean, just general public opinion on the topic.
So,
I like that.
You
I'm
like
all
that
for
idea?
Transparency.
yeah. And Nick, what do you think, having
Oh, yeah.
town hall?
I always thought that was just the plan.
Yeah, it was. We have new people. We have new people. We have to.
I thought it was like, hey, we're going to hold town halls. That's what we do.
Yeah, just bringing them up to speed. Sorry, Nick.
So, I mean, I think in general, the things we need to think about, like as a council, is do we definitely want to do this? if we do, we have to give Alex and Mike some guidance, like what's the lead-in period? Are we thinking 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, something other than that? Do we want to do the cost for the bags? And if we require it, what are we asking them to charge? Because typically it is not just like, hey, we recommend you do this, but it's actually a requirement that they charge whatever 5 or 10 or 15 cents for a bag. So we want to think about those things. And assuming we are just starting with single-use plastic bags at point of sale. Not anything else, not straws, not cups, not styrofoam, just to be clear, like that's what the EAB had suggested, and I think that's where we've been, but again, we should just be sort of aligned so that we can give our solicitor some guidance.
Would you like the draft ordinance before the town hall meeting so you know exactly, people know exactly what you're considering? Or draft that after you hear from everybody, you know?
I'd be okay with if you want to use the
Right.
EAC's model ordinance, and then we could draft something more specific depending on feedback and comment and council's direction after. But we would, of course, might want to amend or remove sections to be just on the bag compared to the all-inclusive nature that it entailed. But we could take a look at that.
That model ordinance goes into like chemical compounds of plastic bags. It is way too long, and I'm sorry, it's just
Yeah.
it's very
It also
long.
specifies the type of paper bag you can use. It has to be
Yeah,
so
and
much
I think
recycled
we
material.
can make it a lot simpler.
I think it'd be
So
more beneficial if we had our own
Karen's
draft
comment,
ordinance.
do you want
Yeah.
me to prepare a draft based on what Lynn was stating, and then we can go from there?
And then set up a town meeting after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would be helpful if we just had an opinion on something like, are we charging 5 or 10 or 15 cents for a bag? And are we suggesting a 6-month lead-in period or a 3-month? Like, I think if we have a point of view, then we could present it at the town hall, and people could say, you're crazy, not 3 months, 6 months. Like, we can adjust, but we should probably have a point of view
Yeah,
versus
I
just
agree.
going
Better-
with
I
a
agree.
template.
A model.
Easier to say this is where we're at.
Yes.
Do you like this direction? Then give us direction.
Yeah.
What is your feedback? How do you think this will impact your
Here's
your
what
trips
we're
from the
thinking.
parking lot to the store?
Yeah, so here's what we're thinking.
And we
Give us your
have
reactions.
places that don't offer anything. Aldi's
True.
and BJ's,
IKEA, BJ.
IKEA. So we have already large retailers within our township that don't offer any kind of. I mean, some of them. I don't know. I know Costco has some boxes at the front, but I don't know about
BJ's does this too.
Do you want to get back, do you want to discuss it any further here? Do you want to get back to Alex, like, through emails, or how? Because otherwise it'll be another month before you
Yeah.
talk about it.
I'd love to see us just, if we could talk it through and see, if anybody has feedback, like, it'd be great to hear it. Maybe just give Alex some guidance and
I can get you a draft, and then we can just get you comment on the draft by next week.
Can we at least align on things like, are we thinking 3 months, 4 months, 6 months? Are we thinking 5 cents, 10 cents, 15 cents, nothing for paper bags? Like, just maybe even on a couple of, key points that we know have to be
We
in there.
sort of have a feeling among ourselves that what we would like, again, seeking input from our residents.
I'll just throw it out there. I would like to see 6 months. I think the more time we give people to
I agree.
accommodate
Yeah,
and
I agree.
acclimate, the better. So
Yep.
Because
I
you
would
never
go-
know
I
any other
agree.
situations. They want to budget to try to buy the reusable
Yeah.
ones they
Right.
can bring in every time.
Get used to the
More
sign,
time,
yes.
give them more time to budget.
Yeah,
That's one thing.
yep.
One thing.
And we're all on it's just plastic bags and not straws and all that. I hate
Yeah.
paper
Yeah.
straws.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just plastic.
I think we just, I would say.
We're just
I agree with
we're
you.
doing baby steps.
Yeah,
in
that
plan.
seems too much.
I think Ambler has straws and styrofoam containers when you take your food home from
Yeah.
Restaurants.
from the restaurant.
Yeah.
I'd rather
And
no
question
straws.
on the dollar figure, 10 cents, 15 cents, what do you want me to put in the draft, at least for now, that we can discuss?
Are we all in agreement that we require payment for bags?
I think we have to.
Because it's costing our retailers more, and I'm thinking especially our, there are places like Whole Foods that already give away paper bags, but some of our smaller
If we didn't require
retailers.
them to pay it, they'd still be able to charge whatever they wanted for a bag, correct?
They still could.
Yeah.
Like, couldn't it be the business's choice to do it?
Right.
It could be, but I think We've talked about this a little bit. I think the downside of not charging anything is there's no incentive to, at the end of the day, we want
Yeah.
people to use their reusable bags.
Right.
So now, instead of like using a lot of plastic, we're just going to use a lot of paper.
Right, right.
So while
Right.
paper is better than, more recyclable than plastic, we still haven't gotten people to reusables. So if there's no incentive, what, I'm just going to, just give me paper.
True.
And
Right,
I
I'm
also
not sure of
think
my
it's,
own.
Yeah.
I think for our smaller businesses, it's more fair.
Yeah.
You know, they can say, well, if we make it mandatory, because it's going to cost them more now to buy paper rather than plastic. If we made it mandatory, then we sort of take the onus off them. This
Yes.
isn't my decision.
You're right.
The council told me I had to charge you 10 cents a bag. And it helps them, the smaller businesses, to defray their cost of business. You know, some of the bigger ones like a Weis or a Whole Foods that are nationwide, they,
Then someone doesn't have to choose to go to like a box store because they're absorbing the cost. Yeah.
yeah, because,
Yeah.
like Target, CVS,
Yeah.
places like, I mean, it's going to impact them as well.
And these stores would not be required to have paper bags. They'd just be required to charge for them if they were going to.
Right, they don't have to have anything,
Right, right.
but,
Yeah.
no one's going to want to walk out of Target.
I mean, yeah. Who doesn't need a bag when they leave Target?
Oh, the first time I went to Aldi, I'm like, what?
So, do you recall, Alex, what was in the template on the, was it 10 cents or 15 cents?
It was 10 and 15. I don't recall. I know it was
Yeah.
more than 5.
It was
but
15.
15.
Okay.
It was 15.
In the model one that EAB presented to us.
Yeah. I think the idea was it's just enough that it at least makes you think. Like if every time you go to the store
Right.
you're paying 15 cents a bag, you're like, darn it, let me just carry those things in.
All right.
So, but I mean 10 or 15, I mean I think makes.
I think 15. If 15 was in the template, I think 15 is a good one to start in and get some feedback on.
Good feedback. Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I'm done with starting
yeah.
15 and seeing what people think. So,
I agree.
If anybody has any strong feelings about it.
And if there's any other questions that
I
pop
was
up,
10,
I
I'm going to
will.
go with the majority.
I will email council.
12, it's 12.
No, nothing odd.
12.5.
12.5.
Thanks,
So you have
Alex.
some things to work.
Yes.
Okay, and so then,
It's like 10 pages long. This is ridiculous.
it's very,
Yeah, I'm with you.
That's too
I mean,
much.
it's-
Yeah.
Basically just to say that.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. I've never learned so much about plastic and paper composition after reading that. All right, so then we would want to schedule a town hall in, when do y'all think? February too soon, or run into snow? I guess Alex, what do you think? I mean, because you have to get something together for us, and we have to
And we have to
advertise it.
communicate it.
Let me get the draft to you first, and then maybe we can talk about that more next week.
Okay.
I don't know.
Or via email.
One thing other councils in the past have done is try to, if possible, save Monday nights for council stuff. Like in October, we have the extra budget meetings. They're Monday nights as opposed to any other night of the week. I don't know if we want to do that still, but as far as setting up the town hall sometime, whether you look at a third or fourth Monday in February or March or whenever, It just, I don't know if you want to do that or not.
No,
but-
that's
but-
fine.
But
I like
that's what
Mondays.
other people have done. It has worked for others in the past. I don't know if it'll work.
Makes sense.
Sounds good.
I mean, what if we shoot for March-ish? That gives us a little bit, that gives us time to react to what Alex prepares. It gives us time to promote it. And if we wanted to do more regular town halls, it puts us on sort of like a quarterly cadence already. March.
So we'll look at a Monday in March, the second or fourth Monday.
I would guess probably the 3rd, because the 4th Monday in March, I believe,
It's spring break.
is this
Yeah.
the Easter week. So there might be like people on
Yeah.
and out traveling.
We were talking about changing April.
Yeah. Do you want me to say it now or not? I asked Karen and Lynn the other day if council would be willing to change the April meetings from the 1st and the 8th of April to the 8th and the 15th.
Sounds good.
Sorry, it'd be the 2nd and 3rd as opposed to the 1st and 2nd.
That's fine.
That. Thank you.
So you can make sure they're advertised as early as possible.
Yeah, we'll get them advertised, of course. Great, thank you.
Okay, sidewalks.
So that
So-
was, you want to talk about first?
Well, I think we're talking about altering our sidewalk ordinance to provide, there've been a lot of homeowners who are renovating their houses and making them, just to the extent that they run into the ordinance that requires they put in a sidewalk. If they're either tearing down and rebuilding, or they are adding such massive additions and all, that they've really redeveloped the property and they have to have sidewalks. And we've had people come to us on individual bases, a lot of people in the valley who've been doing it, and in some other places, where requiring a sidewalk would be a hardship. It's either a sidewalk to nowhere, because they're the only ones, or there's a giant tree with roots right there, and they'd lose that tree. And my feeling was, the ordinance says we have to have sidewalks. If people come to us one by one, I'm not a big fan of discretion. I don't like subjective decisions. I don't like, well, I know these people, I know this property. I would like guidelines, criteria that we can look at before, we make a decision. So that was the idea, was to redraft the ordinance in such a way that it, right? This is what
No,
we're
you're
talking
correct,
about.
that we were
Yeah,
putting
it's what we're
together
talking about.
a map of areas that would be required to do sidewalks and areas that would not be required, and that the requirements would be based on things of how close
Certain
they
factors.
are to commercial establishments, schools, churches, other religious institutions, playgrounds, parks.
Yeah.
If
Are they
where the
connecting to another
existing
sidewalk?
sidewalks are, the nature of the street that they're on. So we took a look at a plan that was part of the comprehensive 2040 plan, and then we were working on making revisions based on that map, which the idea would be that when that map is finalized, we would revise the sidewalk ordinance to reference that map, so that way any property owner, if they're doing that reconstruction or development, where that ordinance would be triggered, would know initially when they're going to submit permits to Jim, yes or no, they would need to add sidewalks to their project.
So this is the map from the 2040 plan, the township comprehensive plan. It had a sidewalk plan, and it had 3 priorities: first, second, and third priority. And it was published as this. So, but I think where we left off was we want a map that's yes or no, not 3 priorities. And we were going to have a sidewalk committee. It was to include 2 council persons, Jim, because he has to issue these permits, and Tim Woodrow, or Lonnie, I guess, and myself. So I need 2 Plymouth Council members that would like to be on the committee. I mean, if that's where you still want to be, because that's where we left off.
And then the goal would be, at that committee would finalize a map, we would use that map in amending the ordinance.
So then somebody applies for a building permit, just look at the maps, you have to add it, you don't.
Yeah. And as you know, we can't have more than 2 council members being involved in anything on committees. Otherwise, it's a majority, and it would have to be open to the public and advertised and all of that.
It's a
And this-
violation of sunshine.
Sunshine, all right, so,
But of course, everybody would adopt it.
yeah, it
Right,
comes to the
right.
full council, but just hammering out the details, doing the legwork, working with Jim and Tim and everybody.
Has to be
so-
done with a minority.
Getting it maybe 99% of the way, or 100% if you like it, or 95% if you don't like it. You could always change it, but you need to adopt it in the end.
Yeah. I feel like I would have to be on that committee because it's going to dramatically affect the valley.
Well, that's what I was
Yes.
thinking. It's definitely,
Why
we
they
need,
waiting for
we need
Jan?
the valley represented.
Maybe Kristen want to be on
Great.
that.
Thank you for volunteering yourself, Kristen. I kept looking at you.
Yes.
I would like to be on that one too. I get a lot of questions about
Do you?
it, and there's like
Yeah.
there's a couple of areas in mine
you do
too
have
that
some
Okay.
don't have it, and Cunnytown asks all the time,
Well,
which is a different
Last
sidewalk.
fall was a Black
but-
Horse down there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Black Horse and everything. So those are
Yeah.
probably the most impacted wards,
Yeah.
1 and 2.
So we'll get that. We'll send probably a doodle poll around. You familiar with doodle poll? Yeah, so we'll send that around and try to get something set up for.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Again, all three of those things will come off the next week's agenda, Monday night's agenda.
Okay. Next, we would have citizen board vacancy announcements. Anyone want to take that? I'll take it. Anybody else? Any comments, questions, miscellaneous business for tonight? Is that it? All right, meeting adjourned.